To another episode 10. Ty Dillinger, everybody, 10. We're here for the 10th time trying to get through what is known as professional wrestling. Good God, we got to go back to 1996, and to do it with me, he's the man of the hour. He's got so much power, he couldn't be sour because he eats a lot of pineapple. Ladies and gentlemen, Leigh Allison. I'm sorry. The human Fitbit. Gotta get it in.
A lot of pineapple.
Eats a lot of pineapple. You know what they say? Hell in a Cell was awful. We didn't even watch it, and we know it was bad. Leigh, how do we know it was bad?
Because it's WWE.
Exactly. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here. Episode 10. Today, we're going to be talking about not only the King of the Ring from 1996, but we're also going to be talking about the Monday Night Nitro and Raw is War from June 24th, the night after. And we're going to start every show like we do normally, and we're going to talk about some news. Leigh, what do you got?
Well, firstly, I would like to direct your attention to a new lawsuit that has been brought against Vince and the WWE for apparently selling stocks at inflated prices. You know, we've spoken about this a bunch in previous weeks about them selling off stock over the last few years.
Right.
So the lawsuit, and I'm not going to bore you by trying to read through the actual suit, because there is a link for it in this article. Mm-hmm. But maybe we'll just post it up on Twitter later.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are being sued for concealing insider info, and apparently inflated stock prices.
Yeah, $300 million worth of WWE stock at inflated prices. And they withheld crucial information about the breakdown between the company and its Middle East broadcasting partners.
Saudi.
I wonder where the heat was from. I mean, there's no telling what this relationship is going to turn into, right? Post-COVID. I'm sure there was already a lot of negative press going on as you know, they had the whole flight issue. Okay, so real quick to kind of tie this in, did you see where Lana was talking about how she's going to spill the tea?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Lana put out a statement that said something about like, I'm going to, tell all, right? I don't necessarily believe her. I think she's probably just going to talk. I don't think she's going to talk about anything related to this lawsuit, but she did say that there was a ton of stuff that she had been quiet about for a long time. Yeah, I would suggest that you tread lightly, Lana.
Wow.
Yeah.
What could she possibly have to tell all about?
Well, I don't want to discredit her from having something important to say. But to me, it kind of sounds like she's probably going to get a podcast out of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another one.
But she also says that she's got stuff to say about Vince.
Seriously?
Yeah, her release, according to her, was a really big shock. Along with other incredible superstars like Ruby Riott, Aleister Black, and Braun Strowman. And she said, I have a lot of tea to share with you guys. How do you guys feel about hot glasses of tea? I love hot tea. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notifications. Wow. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest.
I can't wait, honestly. It remains to be seen. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just kind of like she did kind of get a lot handed to her in a bad way, especially when Rusev Miro was out of the picture, getting beat every week. What is it? She got thrown through a table 8 weeks in a row.
She did, yeah. But I don't subscribe really to this notion of like the revenge and being bitter at the expense of ratings. I'm sorry, if you're on TV and you get a TV spot every week, then like you make the most of it. The problem with Lana is that she's a shit wrestler, and there was nothing they could do to make her any better. So I don't know. I'm not particularly interested in what she has to say because I never saw her as a future women's champion anyway. So
I think she could have been.
Really?
Yeah, no, I really do. I think CJ Perry could have been a future champion, no problem. I really do. And I'm sure I'm probably going to get a lot of people going like, you got to be kidding me. But even as a manager, right?
She was a great manager. Yeah,
she was a great manager when she was pretending to be Russian.
Yeah, she was awesome when she wore the pencil skirt suit and yelled at people about crushing and whatnot. But yeah. that was great.
It was great
until she got in the ring.
And then the bell rang. Yeah. I also, speaking of bells ringing, they might be ringing for Becky Lynch. She's back in the PC, huh?
Yeah, I read that. I mean, there's not much more information other than the reports of her training and that her return could be imminent. But I mean, with fans coming back soon, and with SummerSlam around the corner, I feel like I also read an article with Stephanie McMahon saying there's going to be plenty of surprises at SummerSlam. You know, there's no.
I hope they don't wait until SummerSlam. They're going to need it. Their ticket sales are not doing very good at the moment.
That's funny. This said that it's doing really well.
Interesting.
Meltzer even reported that it's doing really well.
Really?
Yes.
The ticket sales for SummerSlam or the ticket sales for their Raw and tapings?
For SummerSlam.
Okay, SummerSlam, sure.
Oh, God. You're talking about all their other stuff.
I'm talking about it like just getting back on the road in general. I mean,
gotcha.
Like, I would love nothing more than, like we talked about it, like who gets especially at WrestleMania, right? We were talking about who gets the first pop, right? Who gets the virgin crowd, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I would love nothing more than to Roman just be standing in the middle of the ring at the start of this first SmackDown. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll ask you first. Whose entrance music would you like to hear? Before he even picks up his microphone, who do you want to hear?
So I really, really want to hear Becky Lynch's. Speaking of which, though we're not going to get her on SmackDown, which is going to suck. They're going to ship her off to Raw because Raw really needs the help. But
yeah,
I would very much like to see that. But I think what we're going to get, which I will be just as happy with, which I think you know what's coming, is old. Yep.
Oh yeah, dude. And the pan over, the boom cam over the fans, like that's.
Yep.
I'm for it. I would really. I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely by that time. Hopefully, folks will be back to watching the current product. But I don't know. 96 is pretty awesome.
It is.
I would love if Cena did come out, but I would really equally love Brock Lesnar. That would be just like chills, man. Just because I know like it probably wouldn't be a great story, but it would be it would be a great story. It probably wouldn't be the best match ever.
Yeah.
Aren't they
in the middle of negotiating? We're still negotiating his contract.
They could be,
right
yeah.
I've only seen like loose reports. There's nothing like super solid about it, and there never is about him because no one really knows what he does.
He doesn't have any friends.
No, and he likes it that way.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
That's great.
Speaking of blaming people, AEW blaming a lot of their financial woes on this video game. We got some early footage of it. Did you see it?
I did.
Yeah, Darby looked cool.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I also too like. There's a particular YouTube content creator named Chris Danker. He's done a lot of stuff with Xavier Woods and Up, Up, Down, Down, and his like main focus of his YouTube channel for the last, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years since I've been watching him. He focuses on WWE 2K games, and he'll do the whole story mode, create his own wrestler, Chris Danger. It's a lot of fun. But I watched his reaction to it, and he talked about some of the little things that I didn't even pick up on. He was talking about how quick Darby would get in the ring from being outside of the ring. And there wasn't like this huge, long like process of somebody going from outside of the ring to inside of the ring. He was like, that's going to make for a lot faster gameplay.
Right.
So from his opinion, it was a 4-minute long video. He seemed like he was really jazzed about it. I'm jazzed about it. I mean, I don't have a console. Hell, we don't even have a TV hung up in our house. Like, I don't play video games at all, but I may have to talk my wife into getting a TV somewhere. I don't know how that's going to happen because everything has a place and it's so neatly organized and it's beautiful and I love it. It's going to take an act of Congress. Maybe I can put one up in my office. Doubt it. She'd probably hate that too. Anyway, are you? Do you play? Do you play games?
I do play games. I haven't played a wrestling video game since. Well, let's put it this way: I haven't played a wrestling video game since getting in and out of the ring was still fast on WWE games. So, yeah. I mean, it looks cool. I didn't pick up on any of that stuff. That's because I'm not analyzing it.
Sure. Yeah.
Nothing about it looked groundbreaking to me. It looked like every other video game, like every other wrestling game that,
Sure.
but I haven't played it. So once you get into the real grit of it and you start playing it, that's when you really realize the differences. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, it certainly looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see what the like customizable options are for that game.
Yeah. I mean, it says it's produced by Ukes, which is the studio that made the WWE games from 2000 to 2019. So
yeah, definitely. I'm just talking like, can you like one of the things that I always really enjoyed about, I think it wasn't Here Comes the Pain. It was even before that. Was the ability to kind of create your own, and you could do this in the 2K games, but you can create your own arena. And now where it's a lot easier to kind of tie your console to the internet, you can have your own online profile. You can upload facial scans. You can, and that's the other thing that I think is really neat. Like people can have their own federations inside of a WWE game. I think that's really rad. There was one point, Chase Bryant had, we were in Walmart right before we were about to go out on the road, and somebody had brought like a PlayStation 4 onto the bus. It may have been his, and we were, kind of just walking around waiting for midnight, and he just up and buys like a ton of games. He's like, "Is there anything you want to play?" And I was like, "Man, get that WWE game." He's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." So he got it. And one night, everybody was asleep. I went up there and created my own wrestler named Randy Whoop-Ass Taylor. I think our lighting guy, Jody Marsh, was up there with me. He's like, "Man, you got to give him a mohawk, man."
Whoop-Ass Taylor.
Yeah, dude.
That is amazing.
It was great. I'll try to find a screenshot and send it to you. But literally, I made like his own T-shirt. I'm here to whoop ass. Like it was, it was so fun. But
listen, you need to find the screenshot, and we need to make a new Twitter profile for Randy Whoop-Ass Taylor.
Oh yeah, just troll MJF.
Just troll people.
Yeah. And speaking of MJF, he has his own cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I saw that. It's great.
Oh man! Speaking of crypto, did you see? I'm gonna pull it up right now. We're gonna do a live take here. So I have 200 and some odd shares or coins of Dogecoin. Okay.
Yeah.
I bought it when it was 30 some cents a share. It is down to 19 cents.
Yeah.
I hate everything.
See, I dumped all of mine and then I basically just transferred it to AMC. So I'm gonna see what happens.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. His coin is $6.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I mean, I think it's more funny than anything else.
Estimated US dollar value 0.00. All right. Well,
that's great.
Go MJF. Yeah. Good work, man. Way to just do something else that you like. What was it? I was listening to Corny. He said that MJF has only wrestled 3 times on television.
Yeah.
I just don't get AEW. Did you watch AEW at all this week?
Absolutely not. I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, same. It's garbage.
Yeah, I'm having too much fun enjoying Nitro and Raw from '96. That's it's
well. Let's freaking talk about it.
Sure.
Unless there's anything else you want to news wise you want to cover.
I don't think so. There's not a whole lot that happened this week, and it's mostly because of when we're not watching it, we don't care as much.
Yeah, I wish it was better. I really do, but I can't get behind anybody. There's nobody big for Roman to be going up against that's believable. Women's division is an absolute joke.
Well, even Fox, I mean, there's obviously many reasons why they might have done this, but to me, I think the biggest reason is Fox, having invested so much money into each episode of SmackDowns, probably looked at the free. I say free. I mean, it might as well be free. The subscriber fee that you pay for Peacock. Looked at the pay-per-view and said, "Wait, hold on a second. You're going to put that match on? You're going to give it to Peacock? No, we're going to put it on our show, and we're going to boost our ratings." And which it did. And they took arguably the only match that was worth watching, Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio in a Hell in a Cell, and they put it on Fox instead. And I don't blame them, to be honest. They have the pull to do it.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
It is. The rest of it's garbage. It is.
Here, let's do this. Let's jump into 1996, as they used to say on the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan show. Let's jump in our way, way, way back machine, and then he would slam it. It's like whoop, 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 whoop. We're there. Now we're in 1996. I want to go over one quick thing that I didn't know about, and this is from the July 1st, 96 Observer, and this is basically talking about the lawsuit that WWE filed on WCW for trademark infringement, because you guys probably, if you're listening to this, you know about all of that, right? Scott Hall and Kevin Nash debuted displaying mannerisms like Razor Ramon and Diesel. So WWF then, files a lawsuit for $2 million that they later used to purchase WCW. But one thing that Dave Meltzer wrote that I thought was pretty interesting, attorneys David Dunn, representing WCW, and Jerry McDivitt, representing WWF, appeared before Judge Peter Dorsey in the U.S. District Court for the District of Connecticut on June 24th for 2 hours of arguments regarding the temporary restraining order, which WWF filed a restraining order on WCW, preventing them from mentioning them or anything about their involvement or whatever. Dorsey, who is in the middle of a major organized crime drug case, after 2 hours stated that he doesn't know wrestling and doesn't have the time at this point to devote to the case. But when his current case is complete, he will devote 4 days to hearings on the subject matter, which is expected to be around the second week of July. The key to that is the hearing, or that this hearing won't take place before the pay-per-view, which is the key date. The pay-per-view being Bash at the Beach, which is on July, 7th? Was that right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I haven't watched. That hasn't happened yet.
Right.
My timeline
happened. Yeah, exactly. So WCW, which has largely kept quiet about the case, considered no ruling to be a major victory. WWF is still exploring other legal options and hasn't given up the attempt to get the angle changed before the pay-per-view takes place. This is another interesting thing. Like I didn't know about WCW's lawyer not knowing anything about wrestling. I thought that was pretty hilarious. McMahon, in a press release by Titan, stated that he regretted filing the suit, but that, and he quotes, that I have finally been pushed up against a wall with no other options to protect my company. My wife and I have committed our adult lives to building the World Wrestling Federation. This company competes very well, and I dare say stays ahead in a marketplace where quality of programming, creativity, Start, development, and consumer interest reflect success. However, when a giant competitor uses your very creations to dupe and confuse the public, then the playing field isn't level and you're forced to fight in a different arena.
Wow.
Wild that this just sheer movement in talent and the way that they were booked creatively caused this much of a stir.
Yeah.
We're in the U.S. District Court in Connecticut. Not even a month later, right? They debuted on Memorial Day. Here we are, June 24th, and we're already having 2 hours of arguments about talent. Later in the case, they talk about how, more than 20 wrestlers have changed sides between WWF and WCW in the past. I think it was like 5 or 6 years. It's a pretty interesting read. That version of the Observer from July 1st, just about all the stuff that was going on around this time.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's just a wild thing to be reliving this. So let's jump right in. King of the Ring, 1996, the fourth King of the Ring to have ever taken place. And this one is live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the Mecca Arena, and it is sold out. According to the Observer, 84.3% gave it a thumbs up, 7.1% gave it a thumbs down. Best match, most amount of votes went to Shawn Michaels versus Davey Boy Smith. Great match. Worst match, Vader versus Jake Roberts. I want to set the stage here. We have one of the most historic pay-per-views in the history of WWE on this night. The infamous Austin 316 promo was uttered, and Stone Cold Steve Austin became a star. This also marked the final WWE pay-per-view appearance of the Ultimate Warrior as his failure of a 96 run ended. The WWF was about to face a really tough time as the formation of the NWO was on the horizon. The WWF would start taking a pounding in the ratings war. We covered that last week. It's rather ironic since the show ignited the fuse that launched Austin, who would become the star who helped beat WCW. One quick production note, and I'm sure you'll probably notice this. You watched King of the Ring?
I did.
96. Yeah. I thought it was kind of crazy that the entrance was to the right, where it's traditionally always on the left. And I think a couple of people had a hard time coping with that, especially when Ahmed Johnson won. It's like he didn't even realize that the hard cam was on the other side of the arena.
Right. Yeah.
So I and I didn't really see any refs with any in-ear monitors in. I think they were all, what do they call them? IFDs.
Oh, I didn't even put two and two together with that.
Yeah, because I can't remember the referee's name during that Ahmed Johnson match, but he was like, "Where's the camera?" Just kept looking around.
Funny. That's funny. No, my instant reaction to the entrance being on the right was, wow, they're already starting to do the back and forth shots. This was direct response to WCW, saying,
it could have been,
different, as it's already starting. You can see it even in little things. So that's my instinct anyway. I mean, maybe it had nothing to do with that, but you're right. It did cause a little bit of
it was a little weird. Yeah. And two, that's back when there wasn't like such a set plot for pay-per-views or even for Superstars tapings. I mean, sometimes Superstars, they had the entrance right behind where the hard camera settings. You would see the ring, and then directly behind that would be the entrance, kind of like how they did Madison Square Garden for any pay-per-views, whether it be Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, what have you. That section right there that was coming out of the stands was usually just so they could get more seats. And I don't know. It's kind of crazy how, but yeah.
Can I also say, before you dive into this, because I can't wait to hear your take on this. I know I really can. What a short pay-per-view.
To me, honestly, it kind of felt a little long.
But there was only 4 matches? Five matches. That's it.
Well, either way, I mean, it was just, to me, there was just stuff that just didn't need to be there. But at the same time, it's like, good God, we're building up so much stuff.
Yeah.
We're really just scratching the surface of things to come. We've got Mankind and the Undertaker. Anyway, yeah. Sure. Yeah. Maybe it was a little bit short compared to the 2 hours of Nitro that that you have to watch in the 47-minute Raws that I do.
Well, really, it's just in comparison to today's pay-per-views that have 20 matches on the card, with a bunch of people that don't matter. Literally, there's like 5 matches on this whole card. It's a short card. Now, some of the matches did, they were a little longer, so you got a bit more leeway that way. But to me, that's still refreshing. I just don't like how long everything is now. So.
Yeah, I think it's long too because it feels long too because when you're talking about things that don't matter, like I couldn't agree with you more. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't matter on today's version. King of the Ring, 1996.
Yep.
We talked about the production being a little odd. There's another production oddity later. But Owen Hart joins the commentary desk, which was kind of neat. He's in a tux, still has his cast on underneath his jacket. I thought that was pretty fun. And Austin is coming down the aisle, and JR throws the Stone Cold Stunner name straight away, talking about his win over Savio Vega. And we immediately get hit with things that don't age well. Because Mark Marrow and Steve Austin are in the King of the Ring semifinals match here. They go 16 minutes and 48 seconds. I got my 3 count. I'll get to that. But as Mark Marrow and Sable are coming down the aisle, Owen Hart goes, "Since when does a girl become a good manager?" And Vince goes, "She's probably providing great moral support." Hey, so in order to get here, Austin defeated Bob Holly and Savio Vega. Mark Marrow beat Skip and Owen Hart. Owen Hart has a lot to say about that in commentary. If you want to, Owen was just so good, man. Yeah. Austin delivered in the middle of the match a jawbreaker, kind of like modified stunner onto Marrow, and it's either there where he like bit his tongue or lip, because at that point he started bleeding from his mouth. And there was a ton of high spots in this, and Austin's just got blood pouring out of his mouth. But after this match, he goes to a nearby hospital, which I think was across the street, got 16 stitches, and then came back to finish the show.
Yeah.
What a badass.
Yeah.
There was one point, Marrow jumps off the top rope to give Austin this brutal looking axe handle. He got so much height. I have great respect for wrestlers that do high risk maneuvers, because if I jump off a diving board, I lose my stomach. Like we were putting in these ring cameras the other day, and I got up on the ladder and I was like, absolutely not. And I got my wife up there and I was like, you take care of that. This is not good.
That's great.
I'll get on a roller coaster in a heartbeat, but you get me up on a ladder to clean gutters? Absolutely not. I'm good. Yeah. It's gross. Marrow hits a massive Hurricane Rana off the top rope to Austin, and after a 2 count, Austin is up and tries to give Marrow a power bomb, but he instead throws Marrow onto the ropes, picks him back up, gives him a stunner. 1, 2, 3. And they do a great job putting over how devastating the stunner is, which is fantastic. We then get a King of the Ring graphic where it looks like somebody didn't remember what font they used because, oh man, production. There was a guy ringside, and I got it in my notes here. We'll post this picture up later. Does anybody know who this guy is? I remember him being at like every ECW, WWF, WCW pay-per-view. He was actually in Charleston when they did Sold Out. But he looks like a skinny Mick Foley, like as Dude Love.
Like he's dressing like Dude Love.
But this was pre-Dude Love. Well, not necessarily pre-Dude Love.
Dude Love hadn't debuted yet, huh?
No, Dude Love hadn't debuted in WWF, but Mick Foley had been Dude Love before in like some backyard stuff.
Just backyard. Okay. Yeah, that's weird.
But he's got on like acid wash jeans, a tie-dye shirt with a vest over it, long hair, black beard, and black sunglasses.
Weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Have you seen him before? You've seen him, right?
He looks familiar. I'm looking at his picture now. He looks familiar. Yeah. I don't know. That's really gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, there's the green shirt super fan Spiles guy, the long haired dude with his mom, which is always super sweet to see them.
Yeah.
But anyway, this match was over with. Jake Roberts is interviewed by Doc Hendricks, and he quotes Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I see. I was deaf, but now I hear. And says his soul was purchased by the blood of the Lamb. And then goes, how can I lose when I know the power above is keeping me up? And then he says, and this is just so like, this makes total sense that it's Jake Roberts. He then goes, if I was robbing a bank, I wouldn't walk through the front door. I would come from behind.
Yep.
You're going to quote Bible verses, then talk about robbing a bank.
Yeah.
Bullshit. We then go to Jake Roberts versus Vader. Vader comes out, and good God, these jesters at the entrance. We'll post this picture, but the jesters that are opening the door to the entranceway, they're holding their swords by the blade.
It's amazing.
Come on, man.
Fantastic. They're not even sheathed. They're just open swords. They're just holding them.
I mean, maybe they are. I don't know, but it doesn't look very good.
Pajamas.
Purple
pajamas.
and yellow, folks. Yeah, exactly. Purple and yellow bell-bottom pajamas. They look like the Young Bucks today. Wait a minute. That's not that. No, it's not. They actually have balls. Jake Roberts versus Vader. Vincent Owen. This got my one count, by the way. Vincent Owen spent a lot of time making sure we know how old Jake Roberts is. And they also spent a lot of time talking about Jake's struggles. For reference, Jake Roberts here is 41 years old.
Yeah.
AJ Styles today is 44 years old.
Wow.
It depends on what you put into your body, folks.
Yes, it does.
At one point early in the match, the lighting for Jake's entrance came on. Like all of a sudden, the ring is like this pale green color, which I mean, I'm for it, but
some ghosts in the machine, I think.
Yeah, I guess. Vader jumped Roberts early and just pounded on him. Roberts hit the DDT on the way down, and Vader grabbed the ref, who went down in a very unconvincing spot. To which they called for the DQ. But the finish was supposed to be more convincing. Although it was a weak finish, after the match, Vader attacked Roberts and gave him a Vader bomb with the storyline that he damaged Roberts' ribs. We'll get more of that later. So yeah, Jake Roberts wins via DQ.
Love it.
And advances. Then we get the Godwins versus the Smoking Guns. This got my tap out. The Godwins come to the ring with farm animals.
Yeah.
It was awesome, but it was also like, what is happening? Meanwhile, on the other
goats.
show, we have like real athletes competing, but here we still have Phineas O. Godwin.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Anyway, another things that don't age well. Jim Ross says, Sonny reminds me of real Will Rogers. She never met a man she didn't like.
Oh.
There's a cosplayer dressed as Gold Dust holding what looks to be I guess, aluminum foil spray painted belt to look like the Intercontinental Championship. He looks like he's wearing a white lace dress.
Yeah.
And then somebody behind him has 2 reasons why I watch WWF ... Sonny.
That's
I
a bad joke.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Billy Gunn gets on the mic before the bell rings and lets Phineas know he's made Sonny feel more than Phineas has. Match sucked.
Yeah.
Bart hit Phineas with his cowboy boot to give him the pin, and we're out. Doc Hendricks is in the back with Jim Cornette, Davey Boy, Diana, and Clarence Mason. Cornette has Marilyn Monroe on his tie. Did you see that?
No.
I should have grabbed a picture of it. I don't know how you missed that. I've never seen him wear a tie, like a graphic tie.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. And then all of a sudden, like out of the back, you kind of see Mr. Perfect in the same dressing room. And Doc Hendricks points out that there's going to be collusion. I thought I was done hearing that word in America. But apparently here we are again. That wasn't the only time we hear the word collusion. And just by saying collusion and releasing this on Apple Podcasts, we're probably going to get banned. Davey mentions that if Perfect were in Sean's dressing room, he might get his wallet stolen and claims that he's going to call it right down the middle. Side note, Diana Smith was stunning.
Yeah.
It's going to leave it at that. I really like, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention back when I was a kid, but she was beautiful.
I know I wasn't, for sure. I was too young to really care that much.
I should have been, Karen, by God.
But I agree.
But yeah, she was just, goodness gracious. I mean, okay, I'll be fair. Sunny was also beautiful.
But in a trashy way.
Yeah. Confederate Railroad, everybody.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a reference to the song. I Like My Woman just a little on the trashy side. Look it up. Google it.
Sunny was hot.
Diane.
Was it Diane or Diana? Diana was beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of like the Office segment. Like, is she hot or is she attractive? The Slammy Award for things that don't age well goes to Jerry Lawler. Guys, get ready for this. This match, Jerry Lawler versus the Ultimate Warrior. We'll talk about Warrior here in a minute, but Jerry Lawler comes to the ring and is just talking mad shit. Starts off by saying, "You're a bunch of losers, just like your baseball team." And that gets a little bit of heat, but he says, the name says it all. The Brewers? They're all drunks. I bet that's what you people do all the time. I bet you get sauced up and go out and pet the farm animals. Like, oh my God. He looks at this poor kid, this chubby little kid. He says, "Is that your face or did your neck throw up?"
Oh, that's fantastic.
Then this is so sad. This poor woman standing there with what looks to be her husband, who's shorter than she is, which is fine. I just want to point that out so you can get a visual. And he looks at her and he says, "Good to see you off the streets tonight. Are the strip clubs closed?" She looks at him like straight through him and she goes, "Fuck you." It's just mouth. You could see it was Lawler goes up to another woman and he said, "Speaking of Burger King, you look like you've made one too many trips there."
What?
And then he finds these two pretty attractive younger females that I'm sure are there to see Shawn Michaels. And he goes, "Look at these two." And they're like, "Yeah, come on, get us." And he's like, "Look at these two. Take a good look at her face. It's girls like you that turn men into, well, people like gold dust."
Oh,
my God.
This is great. What are you doing? This is gold. I love this.
It is. Then he, as he's getting into the ring, he says, "I got to tell you something. You are without a doubt the most pathetic bunch of losers that I've seen in my entire life." Then we hit the Warriors music. I don't even think Warrior knew where the hard cam was because he didn't come to the front of the ring. He came to the back side of the ring where all the pyro was. And you could see a guy in the corner go, "Get the fuck out of the way." And somebody, I guess, had missed the cue because typically they didn't start. And this is so mark of me or whatever you want to call it. Typically, they didn't start the pyro for the Warrior logo, right? The sparklers on the Warrior logo until he got in the ring and on the ropes, after he had shaken the ropes and everything. But somebody had hit it on the way. Lawler wasn't even done yet, and they had already hit it. It was a little weird, but maybe they were trying to get him out of there. On the way to the ring, though, something that I failed to mention: Lawler grabs the scepter off of the King of the Ring kind of presentation area. So he hits Warrior in the back of the head with it, chokes him out. I did kind of like King's ring gear. It was all black with little white crowns on the legs. I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah. If there's an LJN of that, I would really love that. Warrior won, obviously, right? But I'll tell you this, Warrior was scheduled to team with Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson to face Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith, and Vader in Your House 9 International Incident up in, Vancouver, British Columbia later that month. But the WWF terminated Warrior's contract when he missed several house shows and taking time off to allegedly grieve the death of his father. Now, Vince McMahon claimed bullshit on that because Warrior had not seen his father in 10 years and did not care for him. Therefore, Vince didn't take Warrior's excuse for missing the house shows at face value. Warrior then disputed it with McMahon, explaining and claiming that the real reason why he didn't show up to those events was a breach of contract by McMahon, in which WWF sold Warrior's merchandise without giving him a percentage. but he was later replaced by Psycho Sid, which is kind of interesting because I thought Psycho Sid was a heel.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's gone. We fixed the glitch.
Get out there.
To quote Office Space. Now we get Doc Hendricks with Gorilla Monsoon. They're in the back talking about how Jake is injured. And literally, Gorilla Monsoon states how old Jake is while Jake is right behind him. He's 41 years of age. It's like, oh my God. Like, I don't know. To me, it just... if I were Jake, I'd be like, okay, can we stop it with all of that? It's like the guy that wrestled with the one leg. It's like, can I just be a wrestler?
At this point, didn't we? Was it last week or the week before that we had the interview with him talking about all the cocaine he's doing and his wife having to resuscitate him or check that he's still alive? And I feel like once you put all that out there, his age is. It's a small thing at that point, you know.
I just don't know how many in pro wrestling. Let me narrow this down. I don't know how many pro wrestlers have kicked substance abuse enough to have a comeback tour. Most of them are very lucky to still be alive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that was kind of like bastardizing and prostituting out somebody's weaknesses. And if you're not going to give somebody a payoff to like have like a full title reign, right?
Yeah.
And to kind of like show that, then why even do it? You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's just a little uncomfortable.
The whole
it's
thing was distasteful.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember this the first time around, and it probably went way over my head because I was too young.
Yeah.
But watching this now, what feels like for the first time, and hearing those interviews and talking about his demons on national television, it's just like, ugh. Also in context, look at the rest of the context. Nothing else is that real,
right? In
WWF at the time, it's also very cartoony, and then you got that, and it's just like, ugly.
I mean, maybe that we can also talk about how that might be the start of the Attitude Era, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just by kind of introducing a little bit more realism to it. I just don't think this was the right realism.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I don't know.
I'm in agreement. It wasn't for me.
I mean, we were their target market at this point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the kid who's maybe had an allowance, or you know what I mean? We were watching TV. We were watching the Stridex ads. We were watching the Snickers, the Got Milk. We were watching all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, there's a really funny ad on the following Monday Night Raw that I can't wait to tell you about. And I want to reenact the pitch that happened somewhere in Titan Towers about this stupid commercial that ended up on the air. But my high spot of the night, right? Because this is going to be a new thing. Mankind versus The Undertaker. I don't know how like early on this was between those two meeting in wrestling, but just like in the vacuum of that day.
Yeah.
As a if you were a smart wrestling fan, to know that Cactus Jack was wrestling The Undertaker, Mark Calloway, Mean Mark Callis, that had to have been like high on the list of like holy crap dream matches that the people that were smart then got to see.
Yeah.
And not only that, Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, whatever, like that has to be something like absolutely, you just cherish it. That it happened in 96 at King of the Ring.
Yeah.
Mankind had a super, super creepy entrance.
Piano music.
Yeah. The fun part for me, though, was the Undertaker's entrance and how they are starting to sprinkle in the kind of weird relationship between Bearer and Taker.
Yeah.
Paul Bearer comes out by himself and like looking back like, you know, and anyway, he gets to the steps, the lights come on. Taker is perched on the hard cam bottom right post and just jumps the F off and just starts laying into Mankind. We got the business is about to pick up. This reminds me of a prison fight, like all that stuff from Jim Ross. One thing that I did notice is more of a production thing. Vince's headset microphone was clipping out like crazy and distorting heavily during this match.
Huh.
I had these crappy headphones on listening to it. It was a gruesome match overall. But I want to read the commentary from the Observer to kind of give it a little bit more context. This match got 3.25 stars, but I just want to read what Meltzer had to say. Vince McMahon mentioned that Dr. Sham Shepard introduced the move into pro wrestling, but didn't mention who Shepard was, which he was the real life person that the TV show and the movie The Fugitive was based on. You ever seen The Fugitive?
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, get your shit together and go watch it. And virtually nobody knows that guy ended up in pro wrestling. Undertaker was more aggressive than usual since he was doing the job. A wild, stiff match with the only negative being that it went too long. I kind of disagree with Meltzer, but Mankind used the elbow off the apron and got a chair. Another crazy bump by Mick. But when he went to use it, Undertaker kicked the chair into Mankind's face. Mankind took a backdrop on the floor onto a chair. Then he took a hard chair to the back. Mankind got out of the tombstone and hit a neck breaker, then went for the claw, but it was blocked. This match got even more crazy. Mankind came back with a pile driver for a near fall. He threw the Undertaker, Mankind threw a fit, not getting the pin, including pulling some of his own hair out. Then Mankind got the urn, but Paul Bearer got it back. Finally, Bearer went to hit Mankind with the urn, but Mankind moved and it hit the Undertaker. I love this little nuggets, man. Mm-hmm. Little tiny nuggets. Anyway, Mankind got the mandible claw and got the finish. It was kind of a really weird finish for the people in the building. To have such a, the Undertaker at this point was a real big baby face, and then he loses in such a convincing way to kind of somebody that's kind of been on the scene for a little bit, you know what I mean? Especially in WWE as Mankind. But there's just so much more that gets involved with this story between these two guys. It was a pretty rad match. You saw it. What were your thoughts?
The one thing that stuck out to me was that it was in some ways more of a wrestling match than some of the other matches on the card. It was, they stuck to pro wrestling, even with the interference. There was nothing crazy and super high spotty about it. It was really good in that respect. And you'd expect more crazy stuff coming from a hardcore wrestler like Mick Foley, and it wasn't. They put on a really good wrestling match.
Well, and not only that, too, you had somebody like The Undertaker who was supernatural.
Exactly.
And the sit-ups and all that stuff and walking the ropes. I mean,
but it's little things. That's it.
It's just such little things, man. Yeah. Both those guys were great storytellers, and we're lucky to have those two guys around. Think about it. All the crazy stuff that Undertaker has done, all the insane things. It's a wonder to me that Mick Foley never had any substance abuse issues.
Right.
You know what I mean?
How?
I don't know. He has clearly an addictive personality.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's willing to do a lot of this stuff to get that, either the check or the notoriety or whatever, or because I think Jim Ross has said it before, like he did it for the pop or
the thrill.
I don't know, man. It just blows my mind that he's big ups to him. I mean, goodness, he's a better man than me. Then we get Doc Hendricks with Mr. Perfect. We get the word collusion again. Perfect is basically trying to put over the fact that he's going to call it down the middle. Shawn Michaels comes in and states that he's worked way too hard for way too long, and states that Perfect has the chance to do the right thing. And Perfect is just phenomenal. I didn't know he was in the 2008 Royal Rumble. I completely forgot about that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, me too.
And I think he was in the Final Four. It was pretty rad. We'll talk about that probably at some point.
Watch that again.
Yeah. Now we get the Intercontinental Championship match. Ahmed Johnson versus Goldust. Ahmed beat the living crap out of Goldust from the start. Goldust didn't even get his robe off. I don't know if you saw it. Ahmed jumping over the top rope and just basically missed it. There's some pictures in here, and what you see is kind of like the Daria pose from Goldust. You just see Ahmed's feet literally like horizontal with the sky and just lands. I mean, I don't care who you are. That had to hurt. But I do have an interesting question. I just did get my one count just because Ahmed Johnson is the man, and Goldust was an incredible performer, and also Marlena, Roll Tide. Why is it that throwing your opponent into the steel steps or using the steel steps in any way is not a disqualification?
Exactly.
I just don't understand that, and I might email the drive-through and try to get a question answered. I just never understood why the pole on the ring or go ahead.
Gut reaction is to say whoever made the distinction in the first place, what is the ring, what isn't the ring. You see, where do you draw the line if throwing your opponent into the pole that is attached to the ring, that is attached to the ring ropes, then why is it not a disqualification to throw your opponent into the ropes, or the ring apron? It's all part of the ring. Now, the second that the steel steps, if you've noticed, the second that the steel steps become detached from the ring and then used as a weapon on the outside, then that's when usually the DQ bell starts getting called. But so maybe while it's all one structure, it's just part of the ring.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe there needs to be some like descriptions, like the steel steps can separate because it's easier to transport them. Mm-hmm. Like I think it just gets into so much gray area. It's just like, nah. If you're throwing somebody into the steel steps, like to me, I think that's just a. I don't think that's. I think that should be considered a disqualification. I really do.
I'm sure at one point it was.
Well, sometimes you couldn't throw somebody over the top rope. That was a disqualification.
Yeah. But
like I remember seeing, I think it might've been Ricky Morton getting thrown over the top ropes. And when he lands on the ground, he basically starts acting like both of his legs broke.
Yeah.
Like, and that was 10 years ago from this pay-per-view.
Yeah.
10 years prior, they couldn't take a bump over the top rope. They would pretend that both their legs were broken.
And there you go. Things evolve like that.
Yeah.
Look how far we've gone now.
We haven't moved that far in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Anyway. It's a good question. I'm just a big proponent of, as long as the rules are clearly stated and in the beginning of the match and they are emphasized by the commentators, I think it's okay. Right. We see, even at this point in this era, we see plenty of outside action in both companies, where they're hurling their opponents into the guardrail, right. And that should also be a disqualification, but it isn't. So, it's a good question. That's my instinct is to say, well, they just justify it by saying that the ring steps are part of the ring.
Yeah. Okay.
Until they're not.
Well, until they become separated. This match started off great, but I don't know if it was a purposeful or if Ahmed just blew up. But the match slowed way down. At one point, there was a screw up as Johnson was in a sleeper and the ref checked on him and his hand went down 3 times, which should have been a finish. Another segment, after another sleeper, Goldust kissed Johnson. That triggered a Superman comeback, and Johnson hit him with the spine breaker and then the Pearl River plunge. That 3 count, man, the pop was insane. Its music was so good. But yeah, this match wouldn't have been such a big hit if it wasn't for, the strong worker in Goldust. I don't know if you could have had anybody else build up that match and get such a positive outcome if it weren't Goldust,
Of course.
Yeah, he's just
he definitely took. I've always wanted to ask you, because we talk about so many times Goldust or Dustin bad mouthing that character, but the stuff that he said, that was back in the day. They weren't writing their promos for them.
Yeah.
The stuff, the places that he took that character on national television were to the point of straight discomfort for the viewer.
Yeah.
That was him. That wasn't Vince McMahon saying you have to say this and you have to do that. So I think it's almost funny that we don't say every week the things that didn't age well. Things like kissing Ahmed in the ring and that causing his Superman power up. I mean, that's straight homophobia right there.
No,
in the middle of a match.
Well, homophobia or not, if someone isn't into something, they're allowed to react the way they would naturally react. And I think that's where the whole term androgynous kind of comes in, where it's like, no, he's not doing anything but just playing mind games with people. And if someone is heterosexual and someone who is seemingly flamboyant, outgoing, or whatever, kisses someone that wasn't, I would expect the same thing to happen if somebody tried to kiss Sonny. I would expect Sonny to beat that person's ass. So regardless of if it's man on man, woman on woman, man on woman, woman on man, like whatever, or them, they on them, they, at the same, it's all kind of like, if that's not something you want to have happen, that should be your instant gut reaction, regardless of the gender, sex, or identification of the other person.
Okay.
I'm with you though, in that time that was homophobic.
Right.
That was, and even too, like at one point on the Raw, Goldust refers to Ahmed Johnson as Mandingo. So there's a whole lot of stuff wrong with this, but in the vacuum of it, it was a thing that was working at that point. There is one thing I would like to point out about Ahmed Johnson. He had this uncanny way of always having his trunks up his ass. Do you ever notice that?
Yes, I've noticed it.
I just, you know what I mean? Like, I've never seen anybody have more wedgies in one match and not pick it out.
Yeah.
Like, I wear boxer briefs. I was like, oh no, it's Ahmed. His trunks are up his ass, not mine. I don't know. I thought that was, anyway, In Your House has a commercial break. This is the commercial I was going to tell you about. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the commercial is this: a young adult is on his red sofa with a bowl of popcorn. He's got posters in the back of his favorite WWF superstars, and he's about to watch In Your House when he's abducted by aliens. While they're probing him, he asks, guys, can we do this another time? To which the aliens immediately say, no, we must evaluate the human species. And then the guy goes, but I got to get home and watch the WWF. The aliens all look at each other. WWF? They beam back to this dude's couch and they're like bobbing their heads like they love it. One alien says, this is extremely advanced entertainment. And then the camera, like from the TV, pans to Sonny. And then the alien like whispers over, like, what do you call this subject? And the guy goes, she's a babe. And then they go, this specimen requires closer inspection. And they beam Sonny into the room. It's like, what? Who was on what heroin drug that came up with this damn commercial?
I have nothing.
Unreal.
I have absolutely nothing.
I want them to show that again. Especially when aliens are like, no, we're into that. We are into that. It turns out it wasn't Middle America that was AOLing, keyword searching Sonny. It was actually aliens.
Of course.
Brian Pillman came out on crutches to do an interview. He did the off the wall stuff again. Fun part here is he passed Austin and they just kind of looked at each other. But that was kind of fun. Hollywood Blondes.
He gave him the. You see that the slit of the throat. Which was great. And Austin just, man, everything about Austin, it just reeked of badass.
Yeah, it
really did. Yeah. Like he just kind of whatever and walked by him.
Yeah. So now we get Austin and Jake Roberts for the King of the Ring, award. Yep. Storyline was that Roberts was working on a badly injured set of ribs, which was ironic because Austin had to go get 15 or 16 stitches in his mouth in between the show. Austin spent a good time working on the ribs. Gorilla Monsoon came in to stop the match. Robert begged him to let it go, which he did. At this point, they got a lot of heat, and Roberts made a quick comeback before being cut off. Austin got the pin with the Stone Cold Stunner and did the infamous Austin 316 promo and knocked Roberts for his religion and his drinking problems. The look on Doc Hendricks' face was just fantastic.
So good.
Then we get our main event, 26 minutes and 25 seconds. Before I kind of talk about this, what were your thoughts on this one?
On the Austin match?
Yeah, we can keep talking about that one. Yeah, if you want.
Which one were you talking about specifically? Sorry, like you talking about the Shawn Michaels match or the Austin?
Yeah, Michaels and Davey Boy.
Oh yeah, it was easily the best match on the card, but you'd expect it from both those guys. Yeah, it was a fantastic white knuckle match. That's what I'll say. It was exciting. Man, everything Shawn Michaels did was exciting back then. Yeah. Everything. Whether he was a complete tool backstage or not, like we didn't know that.
No.
To us, he was just an incredibly exciting wrestler, and he had to be that exciting all the time because he had to make up for his lack of size in comparison to everyone else, and he did it in spades. So
he did, and at this point, we're almost rid of all of the big guys.
Yeah,
I think probably the tallest people on the roster right now, and I'm just guessing here: Taker, Billy Gunn. Vader may have been a little bit taller than Shawn, but not much.
Not much, yeah. No,
Ahmed might have been a little bit taller, but not much.
Because Jake.
Yeah, Jake had 4-inch lifts in his boots. It was kind of neat how everybody kind of played a good part in this role.
Yeah.
Monsoon came out and said that Perfect would be outside the ring ref, and that Earl Hebner would be the ref in the ring. So it wasn't necessarily a super special guest referee that could call it down the middle. It was really Hebner's position. To me, that was kind of like a letdown. I thought Perfect was going to be, like the only ref like we would see later, down the line, where it wasn't like a special guest referee. It was actually like, no, he's the referee for the match.
Yeah.
Jose Lothario and Cornette had a brief argument. Davey Boy Smith pressed Michaels from the floor and threw him back in the ring. Smith whipped Michaels into the turnbuckle, and Michaels did the Ray Stevens bump, which was nailed coming out of a clothesline, with the exception of a sloppy Hurricane Rana off the apron early on by Michaels. It was kind of a clumsy missed diving headbutt. I'm messing up my notes here. But anyway, at one point, Michaels went for a power slam. Smith reversed it into his own, but Michael got behind him and went for the super kick. But Smith blocked it and hit the clothesline. There was a lot of these crazy move sets, or what would you call that? Like a sequence, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Michaels tuned up the band. Got him with the super kick, and that was like the flattest I've ever seen somebody sell the super kick. He just laid Davey Boy Smith out. Got the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Owen Hart got in the ring and hit Michaels and beat him up and 2-on-1. And then Johnson came in, then came in Vader, and that sets us up for the next pay-per-view. international incident with a 6-man tag being the main event. How do you feel about a 6-man tag being the main event for an In Your House show?
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I a lot of those In Your Houses I don't really remember. But I think there's going to be more to the next pay-per-view. Listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this pay-per-view. We saw one title change. It got put on Ahmed Johnson. Obviously, we see the start of Austin 316. Yeah, man. I just don't remember a lot of these people still being around, like Vader being around, Mr. Perfect still being around. Gorilla Monsoon still being around in mid 96. Yeah. And not only that too, like I had thought or remembered that, I guess I'd thought that Vince was already off commentary by mid 96. But we're barely getting Jim Ross in the mix on these shows. And yeah, it's what were your final takeaways from King of the Ring?
I'm the same. I still enjoyed it. That even with cartoony elements that don't age well, that are cheesy and stupid, I really want to, as we go through these shows, us to start analyzing why. Like, why do we still enjoy this way more than we enjoy today's product with the realism and there's so many elements, and we don't have to get into it right this second, but I still enjoyed it. Even with the crap stuff, I still really enjoyed the show.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So. Well, do you want to do Nitro?
Yeah, absolutely. Take a really fast break and I'll jump back into it. Do you mind?
Let's do it. Here's a guitar riff. And we're back. Now we're going to talk about Monday Night Nitro from June 20. Why did I say it like that? Monday Night Nitro.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, but
I'm not sure either. I've had way too much coffee. June 24th, 1996. Leigh Howison, take us back to a sweet, sweet time where people actually cared.
Yes. And this we have to remember that this was the direct response to King of the Ring, which we just went through. So
direct response from King of the Ring, and what is most notable, and I think I forgot to mention this, I haven't mentioned this yet because we haven't talked about Raw. These were both legit live.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, correct.
Both programs were legit live. Yeah. But go ahead.
God, it's like right at the beginning. It still feels like right at the beginning of this head-to-head. Like,
oh, gosh. Yeah.
So we open with Shivani saying he'll be on commentary again for both hours. So they're still selling Bischoff's injury from Hall and Nash's, or sorry, I should say the Outsiders, because they still haven't named them by name.
Yeah.
Attack on him at Great American Bash. So we have Shivani and Zbyszko as usual for the first hour, and then for the second hour it will be Shivani and Heenan. They talk about the hostile takeover a lot. So this, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't noticed them say that before. So they're throwing it around like a buzz term now.
Okay.
That's interesting to me because we make fun of that a lot on today's product, especially on WWE. People like Michael Cole saying buzzwords a lot when we don't know what it means or there's been no context. Of course, sure. There's context with this, but no one has said the term hostile takeover or explained that this is a hostile takeover. It's just kind of naturally developed into that, and it becomes something bigger every week. So now they're throwing around this word, this term, like it's common knowledge, which is, that was interesting to me because to me that's very modern WWE. Like for me personally, I'm like they keep saying it. I'm like, okay, we get it. Like we can move on from that. But they're they're trying to set up that there's this war brewing. So I get it. I do get it. At least the context is still there.
Yeah, and I think they're like you're saying they're doing the best that they can to kind of identify and get away from the lawsuit. They're trying to do their best to build what they do have, which I don't even think. And I've tried to. I know there's another episode with Eric Bischoff that's out now that's kind of going into this specific week, kind of touching on all this stuff, and it still just blows my mind about how much they didn't actually have planned.
Right. Yeah, and so that makes more sense. You know, and that's why you forgive it, is because it's not planned. It's yes, absolutely.
It's just so rad to think that something that changed the pro wrestling landscape to this day, they really didn't have a good, solid grasp of what the future was going to hold.
Yeah,
I don't even know at this point they had landed on who the third man was going to be.
Right, and you know what I do is I'm picturing. Not in the way that McMahon does it with his commentary team, but I'm picturing Bischoff in Shivani's ear.
Yeah.
Saying, use the term hostile takeover. Say it, get it in there. Because we really want to drive this home, that they're trying to take over our company. So that is a cool take on it for sure. So after the opening with the commentary team, we are backstage, where Gene is with Macho Man, Lex, and Sting. These are the three men that will be taking on the Outsiders with their buddy,
right,
at Bash of the Beach. They are all in Sting face paint, which I thought was great.
Yes.
Just showing unity. They call out Hall and Nash, but not by name, of course. Steiners enter the room and say that they have their back always in the future. They've been friends for a long time, but tonight the tag belts are on the line, so they better worry about them. Then Harlem Heat enter the fray to set up the triangle match. Now, this is interesting to me. This is the first time I've heard this term. Now, is this pre-triple threat, or is this because the WWE called it a triple threat and WCW wanted to call it something different? Because either way, it was not called a triple threat. It had triple threat rules, but it's called a triangle match.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll be something interesting to look up anyway. So there's going to be in the main event tonight, it's a triangle match between all three teams in the second hour of the show. Booker T starts mouthing off, and things start to get a little chaotic as we cut to the first match. So that's good. I have to stress that Mean Gene was just the best backstage interviewer of all time, and no one's ever going to beat him. He's just fantastic.
Yep.
So good. So we are immediately into my tap out.
Oh, goodness. Here we go.
It's really hard for me to say this, too, because it's a match that involved the Blue Bloods, and you know how much I love Stephen or William Regal.
We all do. He's a national treasure.
Both of them, and Dave Taylor, like they were great. But what in the cultural appropriation was Public Enemy?
All right,
I can't. Again, with the guys who can't dance, doing dance gimmicks. I don't understand that.
I wanted to touch on your after I listened to last week's show after we put it out, because I like hearing myself talk, and I remember you talking about Disco Inferno and how he can't dance, and you were just basically overall just disgusted with the gimmick, right?
Yeah.
So it worked,
I guess.
Didn't it?
I mean, it worked. It worked. Yeah. Sure, it worked to get that heat. Except these guys were, these guys are being booked almost like they were. They're supposed to be the baby faces, except they were actually getting booze in this match. That's what they just wanted to kind of talk over it. They suck. They really sucked. They look terrible. They're wearing oversized, hockey gear, and the guy's got dreads in his hair, and they're just I don't know. And also, how did they not get in trouble? How did they, all the copyright infringement all over this show, when we talk about things like DDP's entrance music, but how did Public Enemy, the hip hop group, not sue WCW for this? You know?
I mean, yeah, they started in 80, Public Enemy started in 85.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like how Fox network, right? As opposed to Fox moving in storage, as opposed to Foxconn. I'm just kidding. Where the kids make the iPhones. I think it's a separation of what the actual thing is.
Yeah.
Right. But like, you wouldn't get confused. Like Public Enemy. Oh, the rap group. No, the wrestlers. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know how they didn't get sued. It's so stupid.
I just don't know.
Now that I think about it, that's ridiculous. They should have gotten sued.
They totally should have. Absolutely. I sometimes I put these notes in. They're for me, and sometimes I put them in just for you, to be honest.
Okay.
But I wrote, these guys are awful. I really want to fast forward, but I won't because I promised to watch all of these shows. That was for you.
Fair enough.
This was a pretty basic tag match, but even the Blue Bloods couldn't save the cringe of Public Enemy. I may not be a pro wrestler, but I feel pretty confident in saying these things. These guys can't wrestle.
Yeah.
Somehow they're allowed to win this bout, and I'm shaking my damn head.
Public Enemy won?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Wow.
So anyway, that was my immediate tap out.
Yeah.
The one good thing I will say is that this show then gets better. Then it progressively gets better each time. So they get all the bad stuff out of the way, which I don't really understand, because don't you want to open with something strong to make sure you keep your viewers?
Right.
But as far as a show booked from start to finish, it went from the worst to the best, which was really cool. You know, that's great. I guess that's how you really should book a show, right?
I guess, yeah.
So next up, we had Taskmaster versus some guy that I didn't catch his name. Which is great.
I'm sure we could figure it out. Hang on. It was Kip a B.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Some poor guy who was basically filling in as Chris Benoit Part 2 from the Great American Bash, because in a reenactment of their Falls Count Anywhere match, Sullivan immediately throws him out of the ring and over the guardrail and up the stairs through the stands into the into the concession area. Tries to throw this jobber in the women's bathroom. This time it gets blocked by an official.
Oh my goodness.
Sullivan is then counted out, but makes his way back down to the ring where Gene is interviewing Jimmy Hart at the time. He points out that Taskmaster has an obsession with restrooms, apparently. This is great. This is good. I'm enjoying all of this. It's wonderful. Sullivan then calls out Benoit and issues a warning to all of the Four Horsemen. So this is a continuation from the Dungeon of Doom, Jimmy Hart's Dungeon of Doom. Right. Building up to an inevitable confrontation between the two factions.
Yeah.
We cut to another Glacier teaser vignette.
Yes.
Yeah, that's coming in July, and the vignettes are getting more detailed. We now see his eyes light up.
Oh,
yeah, which is cool.
All right, I'm for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the blood runs cold. I love that. Up next, we had Hard Work Bobby Walker. I've never seen this guy before, but he looked pretty impressive. Big dude as far as fighting for a cruiserweight title versus Dean Malenko.
Okay. All right.
But, it's big in comparison to, again, what I'm comparing it to is today. You think cruiserweight, you think small. Hell,
Right.
Dean Malenko wasn't even that small, but he looks small in comparison to some of these guys he's wrestling. So, good, solid match. To start with, Walker is impressive looking with one hell of a drop kick. We were talking about who had the best drop kicks. There are a lot of good drop kicks around that time.
Right.
I don't even know who this guy is, and he had one hell of a one. It was really good. Malenko gets a cloverleaf on, but breaks it when Disco Inferno walks out. my favorite. This match looked like it was going to end up on my 3 counts. One of them, until this happened. So at least I'll walk you through this. Disco Inferno walks out with his gold record plaque. I don't know if this is real or not, that his theme music sold 1 million records, or if this is just a horrible gimmick. But he walks out with his gold record. Walker takes advantage and gains momentum. Disco Inferno then gets on the mic and tells production to hit his music in the middle of the match. As it comes on, he gets in the ring while they're still wrestling and dances really badly on the turnbuckle while the match is still going on. Malenko and Walker continue anyway, completely unfazed, until Dean... I don't know what's going on. Until Dean frog flips Walker from one corner to the other, where Inferno is standing on the turnbuckle, where Walker lands on his feet. Walker then throws his hands up to complain about Disco Inferno, but Malenko drop kicks him into Disco Inferno, which tumbles Disco outside. Malenko hits a waistlock takeover into a bridge for the pin. Okay. Mean Gene is in the ring now. He gets in the ring to interview Malenko about what just happened. Disco sneaks into the ring behind them and looks like he's about to hit Malenko over the head with his gold record. But Dean sees him straight away and says, "Don't you ever think so?" Don't you ever even think so? It is quite apparent to me at this stage that Dean Malenko is not known for his promos. Disco then goes...
my goodness.
I know, this is great. Disco then goes on a rant about the television ratings and about how Dean and Body was stinking up the joint and that he's on the Shake Your Booty tour.
Yes.
Thank you for putting this picture in here. This is great. He then says, "You may be the man with 1,000 holes, but I just sold 1 million records."
Oh my God.
Dean responds with, "You're right. I am the man with 1,000 holds, but at the Bash of the Beach, it's just going to take one to take you out." Really riveting stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Dean Malenko sucked on the mic.
I didn't either.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, I didn't know that. I never knew this, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm not a big fan of these guys. I'm starting to realize one of the biggest reasons I don't like Disco Inferno is his accent.
Well,
the annoying New Jersey thing. That's what it is. He looks like a slimy guy from New Jersey. That's what, and that's what's getting under my skin more than anything else. Mix that in with the horribly dated disco, bad dancing and whatever, and I'm just like, I hate this guy so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're right. It's probably, it probably worked. That's his gimmick. That's fantastic. It worked. It made me hate him. So
it worked. He's a piece of shit. Let's move on.
On the other end of the New Radicals, we got, I know we haven't got there yet. I'm jumping ahead. It is my one count. We have Barbarian versus Eddie Guerrero, and God damn it, it is so good to see him.
Yeah, man.
This is, man, I miss Eddie Guerrero.
Dude, he was so good.
Yeah. It starts off with Eddie toying with Barbarian each time they go for the tie-up. which you'd expect. You know, he totally plays into the being much smaller. And you really see, I mean, you remember how big Eddie Guerrero was. I mean, sure, he wasn't tall, but he was a big dude. It really puts in perspective how big Barbarian was. Like, my God.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie was 5'8". Barbarian was 6'2".
Yeah. But I mean, Eddie was stacked.
Yes, he was absolutely jacked. He took it seriously, the upper body business vibe. He was huge.
Right. And so just the stature of Barbarian in comparison he just looked huge. So some back and forth between the two of them, but Barbarian is too big, catches Eddie after some flying offense. Barbarian then with a thunderous powerbomb that I felt 25 years later, but only gets a 2 count. So they're really setting up Eddie to take a lot of punishment, which is good because that's you're gonna go with that when you're his stature. You know, he's not so small that he's just a cruiserweight. You know, that you can't take punishment, but he's big enough that he can hang with the big guys. And the commentators are making a big deal about saying that he has beaten big guys more often than not. So they're kind of laying that in. Barbarian lays it in more and still only gets a 2 count. Eddie stuns Barbarian and leaps on his back up onto his shoulders. He goes to spin into a Frankensteiner roll-up pin, but Barbarian looks like he doesn't know how to take the move. So Eddie just straight up forces him down to the mat regardless. He gets up and stomps him in the head. Then with a side suplex, it looks pretty impressive. Eddie's up to the top rope, but Barbarian is up and knocks him off his balance. Barbarian then hits a giant belly-to-belly suplex off the top rope that hurls Guerrero to the outside. It looked great. Eddie taking a lot of punishment here. Barbarian put Eddie on the turnbuckle again and sets up for a superplex, but slips. And this is where Eddie falls forward on top of Barbarian, and pins him for the win. I said, really, really good storytelling because it's believable. A believable ending due to the size difference. You know, you can't just have Eddie go over clean, you know? Side note, the production crew hadn't figured out yet how to stay out of the wrestlers' faces when they're calling moves to each other. I've noticed this a few weeks in a row. So
well, that's something that the Turner folks haven't really figured out to this day.
Oh, well, fair enough.
It goes back to the Botchamania. You talk too much. Oh boy, you never shut up. You talk too much.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
That got my 1 count. Really enjoyed it. It's great. Two professionals doing their thing. Gene is back in the ring for the post-match interview with Eddie. They discuss a match with Conan from March at Uncensored, where Eddie accidentally gets hit in the nuts. And seemingly it's put him out of action for a while, even though they did mention last week that Eddie Guerrero was wrestling in Japan.
Far out. Well, I know that they had that relationship with I can't remember the guy's name, but they were doing. That's weird that they would mention that.
Yeah, and they on air they mentioned that he was wrestling oh man, it's killing me. Jushin Liger.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep. So they'd already mentioned that, so it was weird that they were kind of playing on the he's been out with an injury thing. Either way, he pleads his case for another shot at the U.S. title, then shows support for the WCW guys against the Outsiders, which is cool. Up next, we have my 2 count for the night. So, like I said, it's going in succession, which I'm really happy about. Yeah. We have Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit of the Horsemen versus the Rock and Roll Express.
So incredible.
Right. The fact that we get to say that is incredible. and this actually kicks off the second hour of Nitro, which I still love that they're almost making it 2 shows in one, which is fantastic. Really fun, technically sound tag match as you'd expect. Lots of great heel stuff from Arn. Benoit is the aggressor in this time, so it's almost like Benoit has taken over the position of the enforcer, and Arn is doing the Flair stuff in this in this match. And roles are important. Roles are important in matches, and they just get this. They still get this in wrestling back then. As I put here, Rock and Roll Express even looking good. Some great back and forth. Finish comes with Ricky Morton punching on top of the corner turnbuckle while the ref tries to separate them. Meanwhile, the legal men keep at it, with Gibson going to tie up Benoit, but with the ref distracted, Mongo, who's outside the ring, uses the opportunity to hit Gibson over the head with the Halliburton.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. 1, 2, 3. Horsemen get the win. Immediately, our good friend Joe Gomez runs out immediately to attack the Horsemen, but gets a briefcase shot for his troubles. Arn and Benoit hold Gomez while Mongo slaps him around a bit. It looks like they're setting up Gomez and Mongo, which that'll be fun, I guess. Weird, yeah, whatever. Hey, it doesn't matter. It's all entertaining. Then Macho Man and Kevin Green are out for the save as the Horsemen escape to the back. So that gets my 2 count. It was really enjoyable. It was good fun.
It's crazy that Kevin Green is still around.
Yes.
I thought that would have been like a one time kind of thing.
They want to build this long-term storyline. Everything is, if you think about it, everything is about long-term storytelling.
Yeah.
On this show, and which we'll get into much more later as the outsider thing starts to unfold. But they're really taking the time with everything. That's great.
Yeah. So. Well, I guess I'm wrong. Kevin Green was around in WCW a little bit longer than this, but still, yeah. It's kind of unorthodox for somebody at that level of at least in professional football to stick around more and still be actively we weren't in the main season of the NFL. It's the middle of June.
We'll get to, because there's an interview with him later where he talks about it, but it's cool. They want the fact that they're using him where they can. So there's a quick backstage interview with Ric Flair and his ladies. He yells about some stuff, but it really gets you pumped up. So great.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's just more Ric Flairisms, which is great. So
now was that with our boy Mean Gene?
It was. Every interview is with Mean Gene. Every single one.
I like it that I know on currently on Raw and SmackDown there's 2 different female announcers that work with both people, but I miss when it was Renee Young,
just one person,
constantly giving me everything. I wish it was one commentary team for both SmackDown and Raw.
Me too.
But he's got kids. Anyway, continue. He does. All of them.
Shivani and Heenan discuss the 2 guys. Of course, we're back to them now because we're on the hour 2. Shivani and Heenan discuss the 2 guys being spotted in the parking lot earlier that night, and their advantage going into the bash at the beach because we don't know who their 3rd guy is.
Yeah,
so they do have the advantage right now. Up next, we have DDP, which I just got to say, I'm a big fan. One day you'll see this on YouTube when I figure it out. I'm a big fan of of these right here. Yeah. How is it, even though DDP is really not relevant anymore, how is it that Bang Energy Drink have not got this guy on board? You know that he would do this for cheap just to sell his yoga. So read the
ingredients.
The ingredients,
Yeah.
like all of them.
Well, I'm just saying, like, is that something that Diamond Dallas Page, who's all organic, all clean eating, no caffeine, no nothing. I would love for him
is
to
he
be in
no
partnership.
caffeine? Is he one of those?
I think so. I think he is. Yeah. Is he one of those?
Okay, that's all right. Fair enough.
Is it okay if I use mayonnaise?
Yeah. All right. You know what? That I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as far as energy drinks go, this is better for you than like the Red Bulls and Monsters and stuff like that. Like,
do you remember when Red Bull was like such like a like, oh my God, you got a Red Bull?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when it got banned?
No, it got banned
In multiple countries. It got banned.
Really?
They had to tweak the ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it being like when bars started carrying Red Bull.
Yeah.
Oh, what was it? The Rutledge, they had Red Bull on tap. Do you remember that? But it wasn't Red Bull. It was like some off-brand Red Bull. So you could get like a Red Bull and vodka.
Yep.
For like the low. That like anytime we played there, I would always be like, just give me a Red Bull. I don't want any liquor in it. Like just I would just pound those things, right?
I did too. I loved them, but they got banned because they were causing heart attacks.
Well, I mean, hey, I was more of a like Red Bull sugar free.
Yeah,
you know. But I love Coke Zero. Like, let me just go ahead and put that out there.
Oh,
anyway.
you and my wife both. We buy it by the crate. That's her vice. That's her one thing. She gets one a day. Coke Zero.
Dude, listen, that was like my favorite thing ever. Like Coke Zero and like some lemon, like a fresh squeezed lemon. Oh my God.
Nice. All right. I like that.
Anyway.
Back to it. DDP is up next. He's versus Alex Wright.
Yes.
In a Lord of the Ring match. Wright's music it's downright hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just screams German nightclub, like German gay bar. Honestly, that's what it does. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I don't mean that offensively in any way. I think that's what they were cashing in on. For what it was a solid match. There was nothing offensive about it. Alex Wright clearly uses the top turnbuckle and his diving moves a lot, but not over the top with it like they do these days. Wright jumps over the ropes for a splash, but DDP gets his knees up. Diamond Cutter, this one's over.
Yep.
I also wanted to mention, I didn't write this in my notes, the pre-taped quick promo from DDP before this match was the first time I've actually heard him use the term bang in an interview.
Really?
I had. So maybe he'd done it before, but I've now watched it for a few weeks in a row, and I've seen him do interviews, and he hasn't used it. So that was the first time I'd heard him use it, which was cool for me, you know.
Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Gene with the post-match interview again in the ring. He gets around real fast, that guy, you know.
I mean, hey, if they're not able to do any vignettes or whatever, and they're blistering through matches,
yeah,
what better way to get talent over and get them on the microphone and get them to do it by having the best in the business then, now, and forever with Mean Gene.
But it's
like, just so smart.
It's before and after every match now, which is great. Gene, so he's giving the interview with DDP in the ring, and he lets DDP know he's going to be in a taped fist match with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It was weird.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. It was weird enough that Hacksaw Jim Duggan won his last 2 matches in previous weeks just by taping his fist with some tape. So now there's a whole match gimmick around it. Not really feeling that, if I'm honest. But whatever. It's still, at the end of the day, it's still DDP versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Yes. You're going to say.
For a taped, this is directly from the fine people at Wikipedia, which, by the way, start giving Wikipedia a little bit more credit. It's really hard to edit this stuff. A taped fist match is when a wrestler is allowed to tape and or wrap their hands to allow them to punch harder without damaging their hands. the Taipei death match, the taped fist are dipped in super glue, then broken glass.
Well, that's in Taipei or kickboxing or like in like Muay Thai and other martial arts. They hadn't really explained that in this because the only lead up to this was Hacksaw Jim Duggan wrapping his fist in white tape. That's it. Like that's not going to make it any more painful for your opponent. But they used it almost like an outside interference, like a gimmick, you know. Which I don't get it. So
I want to say this: the page that I found this on, the Wikipedia page, is professional wrestling match types, and right underneath taped fist match is a water fight match. Do you want to know what a water fight match is?
I can only imagine.
A water fight match is when the ring is surrounded with buckets of water, water guns, and water balloons to use as weapons. Notably, Jillian Hall once smacked Mickie James over the head with a water gun during this match, but other than that, standard wrestling rules apply.
There you go.
What the hell?
And there you have it.
The dark side of the ring is real.
I want to say, I don't want to set anything up because I haven't seen it, but I can almost see now the finish to that match at Bash of the Beach, and it's probably going to be DDP not using tape, but using his ring, his Lord of the Ring, and knocking Jim Duggan out, because that would be legitimately more painful than being hit with white tape wrapped around your fist. So whatever.
I don't understand that garbage.
Regardless, DDP complains, says everyone's trying to hold him down. Cool. Next up.
Cool.
They are now doubling down on the Glacier vignettes. Okay, this is the second one we've had.
I'm still laughing about DDP. Oh my gosh! All right.
Yes.
Okay, 2 Glacier vignettes in one night.
In one night. Now we have 2, both hours.
Oh God.
Okay, so they're really they're putting a lot of eggs into this basket, hoping this is going to be huge. Gene is now on the ramp with Kevin Green, like we were discussing earlier. So Kevin Green talks about how pissed he is at his ex-friend Steve McMichael, Mr. Mongo. Remember, we haven't seen him since he was hit over the head with that Halliburton at Great American Bash. He says he has a game plan. He's going to go play for the Carolina Panthers for this season. Then after this season, he's going to go on a Mongo hunt. Okay. Exactly. Hey, he says himself, Macho Man, and 2 more superpowers from the WCW are going to get some payback. So they're setting something up for months from now.
Yeah. A full calendar year when everything is completely different. I'm going to come back. No.
Yeah, that's some long-term storytelling right there. We are into my kick out next.
Okay.
This got my kick out, not because it was anything special, but because it was exactly what it should have been, right?
Okay.
This next match was VK Wall Street, which I'm gonna have a good chuckle at that. Just come on, can everybody please appreciate that name? Who is Erwin R. Shyster, Mike Rotunda, Vincent Kennedy Wall Street, versus Macho Man Randy Savage, with Kevin Green in his corner. It was a fun, brief match. Everyone got their stuff in, their gimmicks in. Got Green involved a little too. VK with the cheap heat. Savage gets the win with his elbow drop, with his patented elbow drop. This is exactly what it should have been. It was a short match. Everybody went home happy after that, That's why I got my kick out. Not because it was special, but because it was, again, exactly what it should have been. A short, cool match between 2 cool wrestlers. Great. Awesome. Next. There's not enough of that anymore.
Yep.
We are up next with the main event, which gets my 3 count, and that is the triangle match for the tag team titles with Luger and Sting, the champions, versus Steiner Brothers versus Harlem Heat.
Yeah.
So there's a coin toss in the beginning. They kind of they grace over this pretty fast because I'm not sure how 3 people can have a coin toss. So they do this pretty quickly to figure it out. They don't
That's
really
interesting.
Yeah, they grace over that very fast.
That sounds like something. That sounds like something. Hey man, I got an idea. Dude. We're gonna have a coin toss for a triple threat.
Exactly. So they don't spend much time discussing the ins and outs of the coin toss.
Talking about formats changing on the fly.
Oh, but it's good. Anyway, wow. It turns out that Booker T is going to be starting off the match with Sting, I believe it was. I just want to say Booker T with short hair. Mean.
Yeah, man. Him and Stevie Ray both. The two of them so rough.
They
man.
look so intimidating.
Yeah.
Even with the silly like outfits.
Yeah,
they still look scarier than everyone else.
I mean, the flaming singlets, essentially, right? With the long tights. Yeah, man, they were some intimidating looking dudes.
Yeah, with the nose bridge thing, and he just looked straight terrifying. But I just wanted to make a side note. It was a well-paced match. It starts off pretty slow and methodical, which I think was really important. Again, something that's lost on tag matches these days is that everyone starts at 100 miles per hour, and then they have to work their way backwards because they don't know what to do anymore. Everyone wants to get all their shit in real fast. Right. I put meme. I don't know what I was trying to say here. With each team getting some time to work over their opponent, so everyone's tagging in and out at the appropriate times. I said it's really important to note that the rules are very clearly stated and emphasized by the commentators.
Yeah,
because this is not a typical match, so they make them very clear for the audience.
Yeah.
Said no one is doing jumps and dives and spending half of their time resting on the outside of the camera view or in the camera view as AEW do it. Harlem Heat. So I didn't even get a laugh for that.
I mean, keep going because I have a point to make, but I want you to finish. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was my point. There is that like.
Well, think about it this way. What's the definition of competition?
What do you mean?
The activity or condition of competing, right? You can't compete in something unless it's a structured event.
Yeah, sure.
And so when we go back and we watch awesome events like this, where there are rules that are being defined clearly, hell, we even started with a coin toss.
Yeah. Right.
Excuse me. To me, it's just like I'm taking that seriously because there are set rules.
Right. Exactly.
And it's just so like, it makes me, it offends me now when we have to sit through Young Bucks BS. And all of this like, oh, it's lucha rules. Like, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Hence the waiting on the outside and resting in camera view.
Exactly. It's just like, then oh my God.
So
anyway.
So Harlem Heat, they get some double team offense into Sting. Stevie Ray whips Sting to the ropes. They both collide, crashing Stevie to the mat on his back and Sting backwards on the ropes that catapult him headfirst onto Stevie's family jewels.
Oh no!
Yes, it was a straight Ric Flair drop. It was great. Stevie tags Booker, who climbs to the top and misses a splash on Sting, who crawls to tag Luger in. He goes to town immediately on Harlem Heat. I'll note here before the fallout of this match, I'll note here that yes, the Steiner brothers have had some time in the ring, but nothing really that got them any heat in any way.
Okay.
It was pretty unmemorable.
Yeah.
It seemed very much to be a Sting Luger Harlem Heat thing,
Okay.
which will make sense in just a few. Um, so Luger comes in and immediately goes to town on Harlem Heat, and then suddenly we get a ruckus from the crowd, and the commentary team call out, here they come through the crowd, and it's Nash and Hall walking through the crowd, baseball bats in tow. They make their way to the ring over the guardrail, and this is where Hall loudly hits his baseball bat on the ring steps, and it is deafening.
Yeah.
And it sounds jarring. And
right.
all the while, immediately there is a swarm of security that fly inside the ring to surround the tag teams, and it feels like there's that, like it's riding that line of real or not. And just when you think that it maybe it's starting to get a little gimmicky, the camera does a close off of all of these security guards literally unholstering their guns, like getting ready to. Yeah, dude, like you don't see anything like that anymore. This is dude, it's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. So in all this melee, while this is happening, you've got the security on one side as a barrier in front of the WCW other talent in the ring. Booker T rolls up Luger and wins the tag belts while this is happening. Not that anybody notices. I mean, hell, even Luger himself hardly notices. He gets back up because he's more interested in what's going on the other side of the ring, all due to the chaos. Harlem Heat walk up the ramp and give an appreciative nod to Hall and Nash, which I thought was great.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Exactly, as they walk to the back. It's just awesome. We see another angle, the finish from behind the wall of security this time, so we see what happens. Then we're over at the announce booth, and Shivani and Heenan are selling being scared, and they're even apologizing for not totally facing the cameras as they're talking, because they're keeping an eye out over their shoulders and make sure that Hall and Nash aren't on. Yeah,
I mean, how does that feel in the audience, right? Because we know the tape machines are rolling, like we know that, but like being there in the crowd and seeing all of that happen, and like
it's chaos.
I don't know, it's chaos, and it's just absolutely terrible. I just woke up both the dogs with that. With the tape machines are rolling, they are huge WCW marks.
I love it.
But yes, experiencing that live had to have been next level.
Yeah, I can only imagine you feeling not knowing what is real and what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always kind of trying to watch the replay of Nitro after watching Raw as a kid.
Yeah.
And sometimes I was watching live. I don't remember watching this particular week live on either show. Just because a lot of it didn't ring a bell to me. We'll talk about Raw here in a minute. I don't remember much of Raw, and I definitely don't remember any of this. I really didn't even remember Lex and Sting being tag team champions. I think I kind of remember Sting with the pink and black.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he had a wrestling figure that had the pink and black attire on it.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just it's wild stuff. What would you give the show as a grade?
Oh, easily an 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was exciting,
dude.
The second hour made up for everything. So, it was. I really enjoyed it. It's getting really good.
Yeah.
So
I want to go back and watch the what did they call it, the triangle match?
Triangle match, yeah.
All right.
If you have this many, put it this way, you have this many matches that don't have clean finishes, and yet I'm still this enthralled
Yeah.
then you know you're doing something right.
Yep.
You know? And I'm not saying that that's the correct way to do stuff. We all know that it isn't. If you do this with every
Right.
match, like it's not the way to do it. But at that time, that period in time, we had so much just traditional classic wrestling and everything was the same and very formulaic that
Right.
it was just a golden opportunity to start doing some different stuff. And that was, and they're cashing in on that and writing the lines of realism and it's really good. It's just good stuff. So
yeah, Nitro. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something that was not very good, and that was the Monday Night Raw from the Green Bay Brown County Expo in Wisconsin.
Don't say that. It wasn't good. I haven't watched it.
Well, let's cut through it, right? So we got current champions. This is, again, Monday Night Raw from June 24th, 1996. Current champions, Shawn Michaels. Ahmed Johnson is the Intercontinental Champion, and World Tag Team Champions are still the Smoking Guns, which opening contest is the new Intercontinental Champion Ahmed Johnson versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. We didn't really get an entrance for Hunter, so we didn't get to see his what is it called? His valet, his escort. That might not be the right word to use, but it's Julie Beninati.
Wow.
I think I've been and naughty. Beninati is how I spell it. She didn't get a chyron, folks. Huge pop for Ahmed Johnson. He gets the over the ring fireworks, which are pretty synonymous with the championship title in the WWF at that time. If you had a championship belt, it was the white, fireworks that went over atop the main lighting rig above the ring. Mid-match, we get this weird Marlena and Goldust kind of vignette where Goldust quotes the Terminator. He says, "I'll be back." Terminator 1993. And again, refers to Ahmed Johnson as Mandingo. Watching different clips than I am, sir. This whole thing really seemed pre-taped. Anyway, Ahmed hits Hunter Hearst Helmsley with the spine buster and gets a Pearl River plunge for the win. After the match, Doc Hendricks jumps in with Ahmed and starts asking him about his most recent victory and lets him know that he's the first African-American Intercontinental Championship champion. Ahmed states that he's going to defend it for all the people, no matter if they're black, white, red, or green, to which King says, "Hey, Vince, look at all those green people." It's like, oh my God. Vince goes, "Will you stop?" Ahmed Johnson then says, "This belt has been around the wrong waist, but I'm going to defend this belt for the people from now on. And that if Sweet Lips wants some more, he can take a ride down to the hood. I'll be there."
Wow.
Then we get a King of the Ring recap vignette talking about the replay on pay-per-view. Then Sonny comes out to join commentary. Then we get the foot action slam of the week. We've moved on from the Sega Saturn slam of the week. And it was Marty Jannetty doing this ridiculous top rope power bomb to one of the Body Donnas. Oh, man, did it look... yeah. It was pretty brutal.
Wow.
It was pretty brutal. Now we get the Body Donnas with Cloudy versus the Brooklyn Brawler and Jerry Fox. We just talked about a show where Lex Luger, Sting, the Steiner Brothers, and Harlem Heat were all in a match. Like, we saw Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit take on the Rock and Roll Express, but this is why WWF lost. The Body Donnas with Cloudy versus the Brooklyn Brawler and Jerry Fox. Like I said, Sonny is on for guest commentary and, of course, immediately flirts it up with Vince. She was like, "That's a good-looking blue suit." And Vince is just like a kid smiling, just staring down at his suit like, "I guess."
Wow.
Oh, man. Cloudy is out in full force.
Who the hell was Cloudy?
Cloudy was one of the wrestlers that came in that I mentioned the week before. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly. Let me see here.
Like, what talent was Cloudy before he dressed up in a bad wig? You know. Speaking of things that didn't age well,
James Haney.
Okay.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, I'm honestly not sure what the gag was really even supposed to be with that character. I mean, I know they're like, you know, trying to make fun of Sunny, Cloudy. Like, I get it. But one thing I can tell you, it didn't get over with me or anybody that I knew in 96. Like, I don't remember ever talking about this at all. The Body Donna squash the living crap out of the Brooklyn Brawler and Jerry Fox as Sunny hypes up bringing in a singles wrestler and how he might even go after Ahmed Johnson. Skip hits Fox with Hurricane Rana off the top, but Fox lands badly out of position for Zip's flying seated senton splash follow-up, leaving him hilariously skewering into position. Anyway, energetic enough for a squash. Afterwards, Cloudy chases Sunny away. I wrote, no wonder she didn't get over as a babyface. He then tries to kiss Jerry, and poor Jerry Lawler has to bail into the crowd to avoid it.
Wow. That's great.
He kept saying, like, what is this? What is this? What is this? Yeah. Anyway, next match, Vader, Owen Hart, and Davey Boy Smith with Jim Cornette and Diana Hart Smith. Basically, the entire Cornette, what did he call it? The Camp Cornette versus Savio Vega, the Portuguese Man of War, Aldo Montoya, and New Jersey's favorite son, Barry Horowitz. Jim Cornette is on commentary for this. Hart and Horowitz started out, and Crisscross goes Barry's way with a hip toss, so he adds a high knee. Corner whip sets up a monkey flipper 2. Basically, just a whole bunch of back and forth between all of them. Savio looked really good in this match, but I wish more could have happened with Savio Vega. It did later, you know. We start getting a Nation of Domination and all that stuff. But anyway, Aldo meets Owen with a pair of drop kicks. So Hart clobbers him with a spinning heel kick. Back to Bulldog for a hanging vertical suplex. And then Vader hits a choke slam. The heels do what the heels are supposed to do. They cut the ring in half, but can't decide who gets to finish. They mess around with Aldo Montoya before Owen finally puts him out of his memory with the sharpshooter, to which Jerry the King Lawler was like, that's the move. Owen invented it. Bret Hart stole it.
That's great.
Which, like, it was stuff like that was pretty fun because, like I said, we know where all of this is going to. This is just the crappy Roman Reigns period of building up storylines. Again, it was pretty fun for
that. Come on.
I can. And I did. Again, it's another squash match. This is really like Superstars, in my opinion. This is like stuff that would end up on Superstars, but I think here shortly WWF is going to start realizing what's happening, and they're going to try to pivot with a lot of weird stuff. But next we get The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus Steve Austin. This is kind of interesting because I don't know how many times Taker and Austin have faced before. Mm-hmm. And this is still the genesis of the Stone Cold persona. We're kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say in the middle of Taker, but we're starting to get a little bit more, like we've already seen Taker and Yoko at the Royal Rumble in 93. I think that was 93, right? Or was that 96?
No, that was before. I don't think it was. I think it was somewhere between there. I don't think it was 96.
It was 94, excuse me. The Royal Rumble 94. First ever pay-per-view ever watched. Live. Anyway, Austin attacks from behind, but fails to get much traction, and Undertaker delivers a pair of turnbuckle smashes, then cross-corner whips Austin. Big boot hits as Lawler tries to talk up Paul Bearer about what happened at the King of the Ring. which is where Paul Bearer hits the Undertaker instead of hitting Mankind. But Bearer has no interest. It just keeps, Lawler's trying to get a word in with him, and he just keeps blowing him off. That distraction allows Austin to get the Undertaker outside, but he gets reversed into a post, and then Taker sends him into the steps for good measure. Again, I'm still trying to figure out why the steps. I don't know. It just kind of blows my mind. Like, we're able to do this every single match. They brawl into the aisle before going into the ring, where Undertaker hits a body slam, but he misses an elbow that allows Austin to grab a chair, but the Undertaker knocks it away. Turnbuckle smashes him to set up some choking. Steve tries to clip the leg to take control and manages to bash the leg into the post to finally get somewhere with the dead ass. That's great. Steve or Austin gets up to the second rope for a pointed elbow drop for a 2 count, and then he goes to work on the leg. Again, Austin is one of those wrestlers that really always worked a body part and made the journey, the evolution of the match really make sense. He stays on the leg but misses a standing rope choke, and Undertaker capitalizes with the choke slam. Gets him in a tombstone, but here comes Goldust out with a handful of gold dust for the DQ. Undertaker wearing glitter is quite the sight. This match was boring per se. It wasn't necessarily the best thing that's ever happened. But here's the kicker here. Nitro got a 3.3 rating. Raw got a 2.7.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah.
Well, because all the exciting things that are coming to fruition and building on Nitro, and look at this is just a show. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing being set up that is huge here. There's not, it's just a show. Like that's it. This is a house show.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, their house shows were way better though.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like I would have much rather went to a house show, live it live. Yeah. Like I would have much rather went to a house show and watch Michaels and Goldust fight than set 4 hours and watch them shoot 4 weeks of Monday Night Raw. I would give this show a 4 out of 10.
Wow.
Just because I don't think anybody really cared too much about the Body Donnas. Everybody was really interested in Sonny. You took all the attention away from any of those tag teams because you put Sonny in there. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't elevate the ring work. It doesn't elevate the wrestlers. We're only elevating one entity, and that's Sonny.
Yeah.
We're elevating Ahmed Johnson by beating Hunter Hearst Helmsley. The guy hasn't really won that many matches. Right? If Ahmed would have taken on Steve Austin, that may have done something for me. If Undertaker would have taken on Hunter Hearst Helmsley, I think that might have been a better play.
Yeah.
Because that way, if Ahmed went, you could end that in a schmoz too. You could end to make sure you can still keep Steve Austin strong. You could have ended that match in a disqualification.
Yeah.
But
it made
anyway,
more sense, especially with the whole Goldust thing. To push that, to keep that going. And then Taker could have just squashed Triple H or
exactly.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
He could have squashed Triple H, and he could have had another interference for Mankind, because for the most of it, Mankind wasn't even seen, and he just won the night before. He beat.
Right.
Why was Taker even wrestling the night after he lost?
Right. Yeah.
Why wasn't that Mankind?
You know why? I think we know why. Because you were talking about earlier about how this is still fairly. Is this early in Undertaker's career? And he's actually the one wrestler. I can't think of another wrestler like this that the stage in his career makes no difference, because he was a star from the very first night that he debuted. He's an anomaly like that. So
yeah, you're right.
He's been a main eventer since literally day one. So they're just using him in the main event to try and offset ratings, because he's their superstar. You know?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, you think about it, they don't have many other superstars left. Who the hell is Ahmed? Ahmed Johnson he was never a star. He wasn't bringing in ratings. Who cares?
Well, he was definitely a spectacle, and the type of maneuvers he was doing in the ring made sense, except for that dive.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff that he was doing made sense. I just, they've talked about that a lot. I think there's like a whole episode with Bruce about Ahmed Johnson and why it just didn't work out, which sucks. I thought Ahmed was fantastic. But anyway, yeah. 5 out of 10. That's even being generous. I think it should probably be less than that.
So a 5, not a 4.
Oh,
you said 4.
I gave
you said
it one
4
more.
First.
No, we're gonna keep it a 4.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm gonna keep it at a 4. It's a bummer of a show, but it's still. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Hearing Vince on commentary is just like crack to me.
Yeah,
just hearing him switch from. I mean, we had a Brian Pillman segment there in the middle where Brian comes out and asks Vince for like, "Where's my money?
Yeah.
I've been here for a week." And Vince tries to like play it off and like, I don't know what he's talking about. And King says, "You didn't even answer his question." And then you hear the gong of the Undertaker's entrance music, and Vince goes, "There's the answer.
There's the answer." There you go.
And I'm just like, oh my God, you could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
There were a lot of interesting moments like that, but again, like I just don't feel like there's anything that's elevating anything.
Yeah.
With WCW, you had Mean Gene Okerlund out there capturing the moment and reevaluating and reinstilling what just happened for everybody, not only at home, but in the arena.
Yeah.
It gets everybody invested in like, no, this is an event. You are witnessing an event right now.
Yeah, and
this is not a television show.
Not to mention, just as important, after everything and before everything, they drove home setting up for things that were happening later. What on this show on Monday Night Raw was setting up for later in an obvious way? What
the only thing that they really set up was Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels taking on each other next week.
Great. That's it. And
who fucking cares about Marty Jannetty?
Exactly.
Nobody.
Like every match on Nitro, they talked about what was happening down the line and planting seeds. They did all the little seed work too that you don't even know about yet. But like they were actually talking about matches that were going to happen at the next pay-per-view or further. Hell, Kevin Green was talking about a match is going to happen in 8 months.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, one thing I'm kind of missing out of the loop here, but as we went off the air on Raw, Jerry Lawler is ringside pointing and at Paul Bearer and like telling the Undertaker, like, it was him. He did it. It's him. That's why you got hit in the head. It was him. Like, clearly, asshole, it was.
Yeah.
But there wasn't any more carrots dangled or anything like that. We had Goldust interfering.
Yeah. Subtleties don't matter when you don't have the on the nose stuff. That's the thing. So it's
somebody put that over a landscape portrait of foggy mountains. A little quote there for, hey, here's what. Okay, we're gonna go off subject and just talk. Are we done with wrestling for a moment?
Yeah, totally.
Let's talk about something that really grinds my gears.
Yes, please.
What is it with women posting pictures on Instagram of their ass and like just wearing like very provocative clothing, and then the caption is like, "Always be yourself and trust your purpose."
Oh, yeah.
Like, no, you posted that because you're barely wearing anything. You want to trick me? You want to trick everybody else that you're not just trying to make sure people see your ass or your tits by posting some positive quote. What is that?
I don't know, man.
I don't understand that.
It's weird as hell. It's one thing if you're in a yoga pose, in a yoga outfit or something, and you that's different. Like then you're on brand. But the stupid inspirational quote thing that's been around far too long. It's time to,
underneath a booty pic.
It's time to kill this.
Yeah, it's a booty pic. Okay,
Yeah.
You posted it because you have a giant, abnormally large butt.
It makes you just want to. Anytime you see one of those things, you just want to comment "attention whore," and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all know what it is, but I think we're all just kind of like, I kind of want a butt like that.
Sure.
I kind of want to.
I'd love one.
And look at her or look at him. They're doing what they. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna look. Having a big butt, doesn't that get in the way of things? It's kind of like being happy that you're super tall.
Yeah. I wouldn't know. I don't have a big butt. I'd love a bigger ass. It'd be great.
Would you?
Yeah. Fill out my jeans a bit.
For what?
I don't know. Just I want to look like that the bodybuilding type that just has a real thick,
Leigh, you're handsome the way you are. You need to leave it alone. You don't need a bigger butt. It's just going to get in the way. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
That's what I don't understand why people want a bigger butt. Like, what do you have problems using the bathroom? You're going to have to wipe a lot more. Okay.
Yeah.
You use more toilet paper. Side note again. Did I tell you about how our sump pump grinder went out?
Yes. This has been going on this saga has been going on for a little bit now, right?
The saga has reached DEFCON poop 6. Ugh. Okay. So our property, the waste water from our home comes out the right side of our house where our sump pump is, goes underneath our driveway, and then runs the front of our neighbor's yard that's directly behind us. So his name is Jim. His son-in-law just bought the house directly across from him that's basically been like abandoned for like a year.
Okay.
And the owner was just like, screw it. If somebody wants this, it's $25,000. So his stepson bought it and is currently flipping it for a member of his family that lives in Chattanooga to come up and live in, and it's going to be great. It's a beautiful thing. But he noticed the other day when they laid this sewer waste line in, he noticed that they had used the wrong couplings or whatever and said, hey, do me a favor. Don't backfill that with dirt. Just put gravel over it. And they're like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, it's my property. Use gravel. Hell, I'll even pay for it.
Wow.
So they just put gravel down. I noticed the other day he was going to park, and look, we're out in the country. People park in their yard. So he parks. And he noticed that his F-150 truck tire like moved the gravel. And he was like, that's not good. He also looked at Jim's grass and noticed that part of his grass was super green and the other part was super dead. And he was like, I bet you I know what happened. Something burst over here. And would you know who won the pony? Our waistline has a break in it. And the majority of our poop water is going into his yard and not the actual waste, like sewer itself.
Oh.
So now I had to call the state and have all the utility companies come out and mark my entire property again and his property. So moral of the story is my wife is not allowed to plant anything else in the backyard. She planted something, and I'm telling you, dude, it was this far away from our gas line. Wow. Like maybe, I don't even know if it was going to be a half a foot maybe away from puncturing our gas line.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's.
I want all of this. I just want to go back to mowing my grass and fertilizing my grass, which finally it freaking rained. My grass was looking bad, bro.
Well, your bad is still better than all of our good. So
no. I'll post a screenshot later from one of our Ring camera gimmicks where now it's just like, I even have like, looking out my window right here in my office, which is basically a spare bedroom that has a desk in it. When I'm looking out here, I can kind of like get an idea of how healthy the grass is. With this camera looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, 48% of it is covered in disease. It's driving me mad.
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyway, how did you gig over the weekend?
I did. I was in. I flew down to Panama City Beach and back in the middle of a hurricane.
Oh,
that was great.
Where did you play down at PC?
It was one of the Holiday Inn resorts down there where they do a yearly festival.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. The weather had died off and was nice by the time of the show that evening.
Yeah.
So it was nice playing on the beach and just chilling down there, and got to eat some awesome grouper, which I'm really big on. Yeah. So
what's I think I've had grouper before, but what's the big difference with it? Is it like
it's a really mild whitefish.
Okay.
And so when it's made when it's cooked correctly, there's no fishy taste to it at all. It just kind of just melts in your mouth. Yeah, it's kind of like, have you ever had Chilean sea bass?
Yeah.
It's that type of, it feels like that texture, and it's not like eating like tilapia, which just tastes like fish. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it was good. Good show, fun, and a bunch of professionals down there. It was different to work with a bunch of professionals for once. And flew out.
Tell me how you really feel.
Exactly. Yeah. I flew back to Nashville yesterday morning, and I've been catching up on sleep ever since.
Yeah. Are you going out this weekend?
Yep, this weekend. Back out to back down to that area, actually, Chipley, which is about an hour north of Panama City Beach. I have no idea what is there. Don't ask me. I've never even heard of
Chipley?
Chipley, Florida, and then to South Carolina.
That is a place.
Yeah, but
so the default picture for Chipley, Florida, is just a marsh.
Wow.
Like I have never seen. Can I actually send pictures inside of our? Nope. I can't.
Nope, don't think so.
Yeah, I'll text it to you. That's really funny. Chipley, Florida. Wow. They have a Walmart, my friend.
Oh, good. As long as they have a Walmart. The best part about this run is that the rest of the guys, they play in a different, they do their house gigs in town, and that house gig has moved to Vegas for the next couple of weeks as they do grand opening of a local bar here at Resorts World, which is the newest complex in Vegas. And so they're going to be out there for a couple of weeks flying in and out for these shows. So I get to ride the bus by myself. I'm taking the bus down there. I have the whole bus to myself for back and forth. So I am looking forward to that. Not having to talk to anybody. Yep.
And you get the remote, man.
I get the remote. I can, try out everyone's bunk while naked.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Wait, that's a good question. Which bunk do you usually get?
I'm the newest in the band, so my choices were bottom left or top right or top or any of the tops. So I took bottom left because I'm never going to get a top bunk. Sorry, there's nothing you can do to get me in a top bunk.
That was my first bunk when I was out with Jana.
Yeah.
Was the top near like where she stayed.
I was fully expecting it, but they were like, no, you can have that one if you want. I was like, good, because I prefer the bottom bunk.
Yeah.
So
I like being able to just hit the floor and just roll.
That exactly.
Yeah. Especially back when I used to be like a really bad alcoholic. It was just really easy just to fall on the floor and roll over.
And that way, if you fall on the floor and you can't make it in the bunk, they can just kind of just push you in.
Exactly. And two, like, especially when like everybody's got maps open and they're looking at their current location, waiting to get home.
Yep.
Right. It's really easy for you to get out of the bottom bunk because it's like, oh yeah, you're on the bottom. Yeah, go ahead. And they just stay in their bunk you can get out of the bus.
You go first. You go first. Yep. I love it. That's
rat
awesome.
soup.
How about you, dude? Before we wrap things up here.
Yeah.
There's one really big thing that I want to make a big stink out of.
Okay.
To our audience member.
Hey, Mike Ball, we love you.
Hey, Mike. Hopefully Brandon's still listening to this too.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah, then we got two people.
Yeah.
You played on a track that this week hit number 1 on many different charts.
Yeah.
There's a huge
deal.
For
the second time.
For the second time.
Yeah.
Dude, what the? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I really wish she would have paid into SAG-AFTRA, but folks, I just got paid one time for that. No, it's ridiculously. The artist is her. The song is Damage. I remember back in I think it was literally the fall of last year, when her and every producer that was working on this album, Cardiac, Kelvin Wooten or Wooten, Jeff Giddy, everybody started putting the work in, and I've heard it from everybody else. Everyone was just absolutely blown away at how hard her worked, in conjunction and in concert with everybody else that was working on the project. Yeah, it's. I'm not going to say that it's surprising to see a lot of positive feedback come out about a female entertainer or a singer or a songwriter.
Yeah.
But it is kind of telling that that's something that is happening right now. And there are so many, just like there are so many male R&B and hip hop and pop artists that put in a lot of work. Adam Levine to name one person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something super special with this song. I mean, it was on Obama's playlist of 2020, which was just like that to me, like that could have been the end of it. And I would have been like, oh, that's super cool. Like Obama's heard me play bass. Come on.
You're done.
But just to like, I think it was 4 weeks ago that it went platinum, just the single itself.
Yeah.
And then her album, released her full-length album, Back of My Mind, and it's already number one on iTunes, and I believe it's probably like 150,000 units have been sold of it already.
Awesome.
I'm trying to cop the vinyl version of it. There's a like limited edition vinyl version that went out. Yeah, it makes no sense to me. Again, I'm a white dude in hip hop and R&B. It makes no sense to me. And I'm incredibly thankful and humbled by it. And
talent supersedes all of that, man. And that's it.
I understand.
Like there's a reason why you're playing on the things that you're playing on. There's a reason why you are where you are. That's it.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, dude.
I appreciate that.
It's really good. Super proud of you. And
thanks, buddy.
Long may it continue, and as I'm sure it will now. You know, things.
I hope so. Yeah,
the waterfall starts. You know, that's.
Hey, listen. If I've heard one thing, it was don't go chasing waterfalls, especially when you're with Jake Roberts. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show this week.
Oh my God.
I'm Isaac Riston. He's Leigh Howison. If you haven't yet, follow everything that we do. And if you don't worry about it. No hard feelings.
We'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week.
Hopefully not from your sub pump.
That's it, folks. See ya.